District Court. We have John Hipple and Keith Eldridge both. Would you like to kick it off?
Good afternoon. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for the invitation here this afternoon to come and speak with you and meet with you. Just a little quick background on myself. Obviously, my name is John Hipple. I was born and raised in North Coventry Township. Went to Owen J. Roberts High School. I am currently a police officer with the North Coventry Township Police Department. I've been there. I'm working on my 14th year. I've served as a patrolman. I've served as a detective. Did a 5-year detail with the Drug Enforcement Administration as some undercover work. Running for magisterial district judge in Northern Chester County, District 15301. I'm interested in becoming the district judge. It's a natural step for me to continue to serve my community. I know a lot of the people in the community. I have worked in the district court my entire career at District Court 15301, and I ask for everyone's support come November 7th. And again, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. My name is Keith Eldridge, and I'm running for District Justice, the same seat as John in Northern Chester County. And I am third-generation resident of Northern Chester County. My grandparents moved to West Vincent in 1941, and my father grew up there. My aunts and my father grew up there. My grandfather actually worked on the Jointure Project with Sam Morris, if anybody remembers that name, to form the Owen J. Roberts School Board. And so my father was in the class of 59, and I was in the class of 99. So my family has been in the area for a long time, and it's a long time of public service. My grandfather helped form the school board, the school district. My father was on the school board. He has worked in the township, and he has also worked for the Lover's Corner Fire Company as their treasurer and helped form that fire company back in the 80s. And for my public service, I sit on the West Vincent Zoning Hearing Board, and I've done that for a while, and I feel it's a really good spot to help out. A lot of people come in, and it's really a key place for people that want to affect their property, and for neighbors to come in and voice their opinion on why they should or shouldn't. The reason that I plan on running for this, I've considered it for a few years. It's been an interest of mine. And a couple things that interest me are things like bail reform and what's going on in New Jersey. And if anybody has followed the news in the last 6 to 12 months, they have really affected their bail system. And they have changed it in such a way that's really reduced the prison population from things that just reasons that people shouldn't be there, for traffic tickets, for parking tickets. And so they came up with a system where they said, how about we don't give these people a $200 bail, which they might not be able to come up with. I mean, that $200 might be the difference between their family eating and them getting out. So they sit there for a month where they're not making money over some traffic tickets or from parking tickets. And then they changed their system and they said, what if we didn't give these people these low dollar amount bails? What if we use that money, what if we use some money to just get a call center, call them 2 days before their court date, and they'll show up. And it's worked. It's worked phenomenally. People show up. People show up for their court dates. That was the whole reason for bail, is to get people to show up. Well, they show up when they're called and reminded. And so it has lowered the prison population. It's lowered their cost on the state. They're saving a phenomenal amount of money, which is good for everybody. And the other thing that I'm really interested in is having a fair and balanced courtroom and a fair and balanced system for everyone. And one of the things that I'm also concerned about is the problem of asset forfeiture. And there's a bill going through Congress right now down in Washington that's working its way in that is meant to curb some of the overreach of asset forfeiture, in that people are being abused by this with no, they're not being convicted or even charged with a crime. They're having assets forfeited, and they're being sent on their way. And if somebody is charged, if somebody's convicted of a crime, absolutely, that is the reasonable response. But to have asset forfeiture performed with no conviction or even no charges filed seems to be not very fair and balanced. And so that's one of my other topics that I'm very interested in. So thank you very much.
We could take a few minutes if there's anyone here who has a question that they would like to ask for the good of everyone.
Yes. I know a little bit about that asset forfeiture issue.
Yes.
Because I've heard about it in Philadelphia per se, for
Yes.
example, where a teenager is smoking pot out front of his grandmother's house.
Yes.
The teenager's actions cause the asset forfeiture of the grandmother's home.
That can happen.
That's the kind of thing that you're talking about.
Yes, that can happen, and it can happen even on a more egregious level, which is say your daughter goes off to college and she leaves a Honda Civic at your house and says, "I'm not going to need this for 4." Say you bought it for her in high school, and you're like, "Well, she's not going to need that for 4 years. We'll sell it, and she can get another car when she gets out of high school." So you sell it for maybe $2,000. And you're driving that money to the bank, and it's sitting on the passenger seat of your car in an envelope. If you get pulled over for a taillight out, you can be asked what's in the envelope. And if you say, "Well, that's money I just sold a car," and you can be told, "Well, that looks like it could be drug money. I'm going to forfeit. You're going to forfeit that to me." And they can take that. And you won't be charged. You won't be arrested. You'll be sent on your way. That day, you'll have a good day. And for you to get that back, you have to fight to get a court date for your money, not for yourself. And it's very difficult. And if you have to hire a lawyer, it might cost you $1,500. It might cost you $2,000. So you end up with nothing. So if you call a lawyer and say, like, "Well, can you help me get this back?" The guy will say, "It's going to cost you that much to get back." And if you don't get it, then you're out another $2,000. So what do? Do you cut your losses? And that's one of the problems that I see with it. Yeah.
And would you mind if I videoed you talking about bail reform? Because during my first term, I was in a pilot for reentry, but I did it in greater sport.
Okay.
But I did build relationships with, the warden of Montgomery County.
Okay.
So I'd like to just hear.
Well, there's video being taken, and we could probably get a copy of that. I could probably ask the videographer if she
Okay.
would be able to send that to you, if that would work. If
That
you
would
give me
work.
an email address.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do that.
All right.
I think. But
All right.
can you still chat about it a little bit?
Mr. Stoltz, you had something you wanted to interject?
If I can just add on the issue of civil asset forfeiture, I'll come up here so people can hear me. It's a really important issue, and I have some experience with it because 2-3 years ago, through a program of the Bar Association, I represented free of charge on a charitable basis a woman in a very similar situation. Her home was really her only asset. She owned it free and clear. And her son, who had been in and out of trouble in the law, was living in her house. And it turned out that he was dealing drugs at a neighborhood bar, not in the house, but he kept his inventory locked in his room without his mother's knowledge. And the district attorney brought a civil forfeiture case against her to take her house on the ground that it had been used as a means for drug dealing, even though she had no knowledge of it and certainly did not consent to it. And there was no issue that the only place where drugs were kept was in the bedroom that was occupied by her son. Fortunately, we were able to work out a deal with the district attorney, but the deal meant that her son had to leave the house. Now, after she had learned about his drug dealing, she had mixed feelings about that. The good news is that in the past year or two, there have been major reforms in the civil asset forfeiture program that have been done by the courts, by the statewide appellate courts like the one that Judge Woodruff is running for. And it's just another example of how important it is to have judges who have the empathy to understand that this isn't simply a matter of just applying rules. This is a matter of understanding what the consequences of your rulings are going to be and applying the law, being faithful to the law, but in a way that recognizes the consequences of your ruling. So it's an important issue.
I think one or two people over here had questions? Yes.
I do. Who else was district court? Mr. Hipple?
Yes, sir.
Seeing the other judges, judicial candidates weighed in on asset forfeiture, what are your feelings on it?
I was actually part of asset forfeiture when I did my detail with the Drug Enforcement Administration. We followed strict rules when it came to asset forfeiture. But yes, I was involved in asset forfeiture, and we followed the rules that were put in place for us.
But what are your feelings as far as what those rules are? Do they need changing?
There could be some modifications.
Do you think that there's too much leeway for law enforcement to initiate asset forfeiture without?
I believe if the probable cause is there, then asset forfeiture should be used, yes, in the
That's not the
proper
way
way.
the law is written. Do you think that it needs to be rewritten to say that?
I believe that it should, yes.